What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another vintage Kenner Star Wars market update. And this time it's mint on card figures. And we've got lots of really cool ones. We've got a PBP Hammerhead. We got a 32 back B Bosk that sold for an absolute steal. A mint on card Red Bar R5D4. And then I've got some Last 17 and some other gems. As always, thanks to my Patreon supporters, you guys allow this channel to happen. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up to get 24 hours early access to all of my videos. Let's dig in. Early card backs. We got a 12-back A Darth Vader graded AFA 80. This was a punched example with a price sticker in the upper left-hand corner. The subgrades were 85, 80, 75. So 75 for the subgrade on the figure. No idea why, other than potentially it looks like on that left arm of Vader, he might have some mold going on there, maybe on the head as well. So, this is a classic example of, even inside the blister, these figures can degrade over time. And it looks like his leg there behind the cape. And so lots of damage there to the Darth Vader, just some white mold that's growing. And I've heard that you can put these kind of figures underneath like a UV lamp or outside for a little bit, and it'll kill that that growth that you see on the figure there. Now I've heard that it comes back, and I've heard from others of you where they've told me that it never came back after getting it underneath a UV lamp. But anyway, just some interesting information there. Anyway, this 12-back A sold for $2,381 plus $19 shipping. Pretty good price there for an early 12-back A Darth Vader. Next up, same seller had a 12-back C Princess Leia. This one was graded AFA 75. The subscores were 75, 80, 85 on this one. So another beautiful gem of a 12-back Leia. $13.50.88 was the final sales price on this one, plus $19 shipping again. Awfully pretty. There's something about a Princess Leia on those 12 and 20 backs that really pop. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And maybe one day I'll have the financial discipline to be able to afford something like this. But I always end up spending the money before I can put the money together. But that's a really nice one. Next up was a 12-back B, I believe. This was a 12-back C, excuse me. Death Squad Commander graded CAS 75. This was another punched example with the price sticker. I thought the price on this one was pretty good, $800 plus $12.45 shipping. Not a bad price there for a, I say a medium grade. Early 12-back Death Squad Commander. Next up was a gorgeous 41-back A. No, I'm sorry. This is a 21-back transition card. So for some reason, every time I see these 21-back ESB card backs with the free secret Star Wars action figure, I always get it mixed up at first blush with the Survival Kit 41-back A's. But this is a much more desirable card back because this is the transition card for the ESB Luke Skywalker Farm Boy. Absolutely stunning. And that one sold for $13.01 plus $5 shipping. Again, I'm assuming that this is not a recard. It looks like an original card to me. A little bit of spider vading going on the card and some other kind of blemishes. Probably like a 75 would be my guess for the grade on this one. But that is a stunner for a tough-to-find card back. $13.01 took that one home. Now let's dig into some Return of the Jedi figures. This one was a Darth Vader 65-back, yellowed, and as you can see by the blister, it had a pretty pronounced ding at the top of the blister. And Darth Vader's on Return of the Jedi cardbacks seem to be going up in price, whether they're yellowed or clear blister, but we documented one on the channel a couple of months ago that was a clear blister 65-back, just like this cardback, that sold for over $700 if memory serves. It might have been $800. This one was yellowed, and it did have a pretty pronounced ding, probably a 70 at best. That one still sold for $325. So big money for these U.S. card Return of the Jedi Darth Vaders. So that's a lot of money for one that's at best probably in 70 grade, maybe 75 grade condition. Just depends on how bad the graders ding that blister. But wow, that's a big price to me. Next up was a die cast. I forgot. I had these out of order. I do that sometimes. You'll have to forgive me. But this was an ESB die cast Rebel Armored Snowspeeder. The card was pretty tatty, had lots of damage to it, but that still sold, because they had a clear blister, or clear-ish blister, that still sold for pretty big money. This was up in Canada, $550 Canadian dollars, or $411 US dollars. But the blister looks pretty clear to me. You know, it looks like it might be pulling away from, if you look in the upper left-hand corner of that blister, it does look like that die cast is pulling away a little bit from the card back. And, you know, it's just, or the blister's pulling away there in the upper left-hand corner of that blister. So that's always what terrifies me about buying these mint on card, is because these die casts are so heavy, and I'm just worried that the blister is going to pull away in shipping. So maybe I'm overthinking it, I'm over worried about it, but that's always kind of been my hesitation about buying any of these mints on card. I'm sure I'm still going to do it at some point, but at least for right now, I have not bought any mint on card for these die-cast figures. I do have 2 mint in sealed box for the Falcon as well as the Imperial Cruiser, but none of the others, none of the other die-cast ships I have mint on card. But anyway, 411 took that one home. Now, this is probably, in my opinion, probably one of the best deals I've seen in a while for a mint on card Boss. Crystal clear blister, unpunched. This one is the poor man's debut card, the 32 back B. There is a very rare 31 back A. Boss. That one you can go for many thousands of dollars because there's not many of them that still exist. So the poor man's debut card for Boss is this 32 back B. This is one I've got in my collection. This one was graded 80 by CAS. 80, 85, 80 were the sub scores. But overall, very, very clean, crystal clear blister. That sold for $650 plus $15 shipping. Let me tell you, I have an AFA 80 and I paid about 30% more for mine. And I would say that this was a better deal. This was a much better deal. It just snuck through, the eBay auction, and I didn't see it until after it closed. So whoever got that, that was a bargain of a price, because the 32 back B Boss is very, very pricey. There was one that sold at Hakes. I don't remember exactly when, but it was, I want to say about 6 months ago. That was an AFA 85, but it had slight yellowing to it. That sold for, I think it was $2,800. It was a big number, I know that. So this one was a bargain, an absolute bargain. $650 plus $15 shipping. Next up was a CAS 75 Return of the Jedi Obi-Wan. This one had a clear blister, again graded CAS 75. That one sold for $400. I think that was a good price, unpunched, no price sticker. Very tough to find that one with a clear blister, and 75 is a very respectable grade for that. And $400 I think is worth every penny. Next up was a 77 back A CAS 75 plus, another clear blister. Tough to find that one with a clear blister, although not nearly as difficult as the Obi-Wans on the 65 back. But this 77 back A squid head, 75, 85, 90 were the sub scores for an overall 75 plus, unpunched with a price sticker in the upper right hand corner. $250, great price there. I think that was worth every penny for that one. Next up, we're going to dig into some Made in Mexico card backs. Several of those did sell here recently. This was a punched example of Paplu. This was only made in the Lily Letty factory, and it looks like it might have just some slight yellowing. It could just be the shadows, but very nice example. That one sold for $189. Next up was a Made in Mexico Neonum. Another tough one to find. I find that Neonum is the hardest one to find for these Made in Mexico for the U.S. market card backs. You just don't see them pop up very regularly. This one did have some card damage at the top. It looks like it might even have a marker on the Star Wars logo there, so that probably held the price down a little bit. That sold in Australia for 301 Australian dollars, which is 203 US dollars. It also did have a crease on the right-hand side of the card back, but still a very tough one to find. Next up was the Gamorrean Guard 65 back, Made in Mexico Lily Letty. That one had some card issues to it, but that still only sold for $127.50. Really good bargain there on that one. Here was the Hammerhead. This is the Hammerhead I was alluding to at the beginning of this video. This is a PBP made in Spain for the U.S. market 77 back. And all of the Cantina creatures were made in Spain. And you can see here, made in Spain. So you can find these for Greedo, for the Red Snaggletooth, for this Hammerhead, obviously, and then for Walrus Man. And this one did have some card damage at the bottom of the card. By no means perfect, but pretty decent example there. These do tend to yellow pretty heavily. That one sold down in Australia for $645. Well, I'm sorry. The best offer that was accepted, I took notes. The best offer that was accepted was 580 Australian dollars. And based on Yahoo's or Google's currency conversion, that equates to 390 US dollars. So that's what someone paid for this one. Pretty nice example. It had some scratches to the card and was by no means perfect. Probably a 75 grade overall. But 390 US dollars took that home. And here is the beautiful Red Bar R5D4 graded AFA 70 on the Return of the Jedi card back. Very tough to find these Red Bar R5s loose, much less still mint on card. And you can see there it's got an archival case from AFA, graded 70. Two nice high subscores, though. The blister was an 85. The figure was an 80 for an overall yellowed 70 grade. And this one had some card damage in the upper right-hand corner, probably from where someone tried to remove the price sticker. But that one was sold by a friend of mine, and it's sold for 2,000 US dollars free shipping. But that is a stunner. Given that R5D4s with the red bar filled in can loose, ungraded, go for $600 or $700, to get one mint on card AFA 70 for $2,000, it seems like a lot of money, but let me tell you, it's very tough to find and very, very pricey, and kind of a mini grail, if you ask me. Next up was a CAS 80 Tri-Logo for Weequay. This one was a punched example, but very nice condition overall. That one sold in an auction for 422 US dollars and change. Shout out to Matthew C., Patreon supporter. He was bidding on this, but he lost last minute. I'm sorry you lost, buddy, but there will be other fish in the sea. This was a nice example, though, but he kept his price in mind, and he lost, and that's okay, Matt. I guarantee you that you'll find another one for the same price or less. But that's what that Tri-Logo sold for, $422 and change. Here was an AFA 85 yellow blister Power of the Force Ben Kenobi. As good as it gets, case fresh. This was unpunched with no price sticker. That one sold for $11.50. $11.50 plus $20 shipping for a beautiful Power of the Force Ben Kenobi. Yellowed 85. 85, 85, 85 were the subscores. So straight 85s, unpunched with no price sticker for $11.50. That's a big number, but given the condition of that one, that was probably worth every penny. Now let's dig into some last 17 figures. We've got a Power of the Force Lando General, and this was ungraded but in pretty rough condition. The card back had some pretty major creases in the upper right-hand corner, some kind of rubbing in the upper left-hand corner. Blister was in pretty good shape overall, just very, very light yellowing, and that one sold for $475 plus $10 shipping. That's probably about right, given that Lando's ungraded can go, what, $300 or more. So to get one mint on card for $475 is probably about right. Two different Power of the Force Luke Endor ponchos sold. This one sold for $409, again with some condition issues to the card, light creasing and some edge wear, things like that. But that one sold for $409 plus $10 shipping. And then this one also sold. This one sold for $319 in an auction. This one was punched with a KB Toys overstock price sticker. $319 plus $12 shipping on that one. And then, let's see, next up was a Power of the Force Han Solo in Carbonite. This was an unpunched example with no price sticker. Again, some yellowing on the blister. That one sold for $580 plus $14 shipping. And then finally was an unpunched A-Wing pilot that looked to be in really great condition. This one sold in an auction for $430 free shipping. Probably an overall 80 plus, potentially an 85, but it looked to be in really great shape. And last 17 continue to command big money, whether they're loose graded, or mint on card. You're going to be paying some big boy money for these last 17 figures. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed looking at some of the recent sales prices for mint on card Kenner Star Wars action figures. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.